Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
John sent me notes, and Steve, check out this story. It's from the Consumer Man. The Consumer Man. That's Herb Weisbaum. And the headline is, Delta Airlines' bizarre credit card policy nearly stranded me in London. Bizarre credit card policy, but this is what they do. After spending a week visiting cousins in London, my wife and I headed to Heathrow. When it was our turn to use a kiosk to print our boarding passes, the machine instructed me to swipe the credit card used to purchase our tickets. The problem is I didn't bring all my cards with me, and the one I'd used to buy the tickets was at home. You might ask yourself, wait, how do you get there then? Oh, that's an interesting twist here. The kiosk gave me no other option, and it wouldn't let me enter the trip's confirmation code as I had done in Seattle before boarding the flight to London, or put in a ticket number. We were directed to a Delta supervisor, who then told us that without presenting the credit card used to purchase the tickets, she could not issue our boarding passes. I'm sorry, that's the rule. So the agent explained that Delta's policy protects us from credit card fraud, but we could verify our identities with our passports and our driver's licenses, and Delta let us board the flight to London without the credit card. What's going on? So she consulted with her colleagues and tried a few things on her computer, but said that she could not override the security protocol. She said that we had an option of staying in London, which is like forever. I mean, you do speak the language, right? You could use a different card to buy 2 new one-way tickets home, about 3 times the original price that they'd paid for these tickets. They could find a way to get a photograph of the original credit card texted to him in London, or have someone take the card physically to a Delta ticket counter in Seattle. And by the way, it was 3 a.m. in Seattle because there's time zones, you know? So Herb called his neighbor and talked his neighbor through the process of getting into Herb's place, turning off the alarm, using the keypad, going into the garage, and then getting the credit card. And the guy then photographed that and texted them the front and the back of the card, and Delta finally printed our boarding passes, and they managed to get on their plane. And Herb points out that, by the way, Sam, the neighbor, did get a lovely box of Harrods chocolates for doing this. The Delta agent, who was nice and only following company policy, informed us that this was a recurring issue, especially for children traveling from London on tickets purchased by their parents. So the question is, whose fault is this? So Herb and his wife were completely blindsided, and he didn't recall receiving any notice about the policy during the booking process. It was not mentioned in any of the numerous pre-flight emails from Delta. And again, no one in Seattle told them that Delta had this requirement before getting on your plane in London. Because remember, it wasn't required in Seattle, only in London, in this case. So the consumer man, Herb Weisbaum, shared the story with friends and colleagues, and they couldn't believe what had happened. Responses ranged from ridiculous to crazy to, are you kidding me? Well, it's Delta. So a senior industry analyst at Bankrate said, I'm really puzzled by this. Fraud would be the bank's problem, not the airlines. And I don't see how this protected you, since consumer protection comes from the card issuer, not the airline or the merchant. You are covered by bank and card network fraud protections. So Herb did a quick search on social media and found angry comments from other Delta customers about this policy. One Reddit poster said, I bought a ticket for my parents and my child. They told me the agent refused to check them in because he didn't have my credit card with them. Now Delta wants me to reschedule the flight for $4,000 extra. I'm disgusted. How is this even a thing? How is this even a thing? Another unhappy customer posted, I booked a flight for my daughter's fiance. I called to find out what to do, as he did not have the booking credit card and was coming from out of the country. I was told to visit the nearest airport, and they checked the booking and added a special note to the flight because they needed to verify the credit card in person. So Delta, if you ask them about this, they will tell you that if you look at their website, someplace on there, where it says booking a flight, it does say things like, to safeguard against credit and debit card fraud, the purchaser may have to show us the credit debit card along with a valid photo ID. The time varies based on the billing address, the credit and debit card, or the country of travel. If the purchaser is not traveling, they can show us their credit debit card and ID at an airport ticket counter or another ticket office location, whichever is most convenient, as if any of this is convenient for anybody. Meanwhile, a senior fellow for aviation at the American Economic Liberties Project called Delta's anti-fraud policy ridiculous. Millions of business passengers don't use a personal credit card to buy their tickets. The company pays for them. So you've got a driver's license and a passport. What more do they need? Come on. The very least they can do with a policy like this is that it's going to blindside thousands of travelers, and they should give you a better warning, and one that's not buried in the fine print, especially not buried someplace on their website. So it's strange that they have this policy, but it's not uniformly enforced. Because if they'd been told that in Seattle, it probably would have been easier for them to fix than by waiting till they're in London coming home. And by the way, the suggestion, you can buy a couple one-way tickets or just take up residence here in England. Those aren't really useful options. And as noted previously, when you buy something with a credit card, many credit cards, not debit cards, but many credit cards actually have purchase protection. So that if somebody were to fraudulently use your card, i.e. without your permission and so on, then something purchased with that, the credit card company takes care of it. But the only question I have is, it's hypothetically possible that the airlines have some special pressure put on them by, say, the feds, saying that, hey, this is a serious problem, and because it involves people coming into our country or leaving our country, we really want to make sure that people are on the up and up when they're traveling. But even that doesn't quite strike me as valid, because here they were actually telling these people, we need to verify who you are. So a piece of plastic in your wallet with your name on it and no photograph doesn't actually prove who you are. A passport would prove who you are. A driver's license would go a long way towards showing who you are. But that credit card, all it does is show that you got the credit card in your possession. But why does the credit card need to be in your possession, especially if someone bought you the tickets as a gift or some other reason? Your employer bought you tickets so you could travel for business. It is a ridiculous, or as he called it, bizarre credit card policy. And, airlines are airlines. They belong in their own class of entity. I spend a lot of time on this channel talking about RVs, HOAs, right? AI, qualified immunity, right? These are all things I talk about. And airlines, I don't spend as much time talking about them, but they actually are a category unto themselves, because some of the stuff they do is just outlandish, and this is one of them. And none of this story surprises me, but I was not aware of this. Good news is, when I travel, I do carry my one credit card with me. But I know people who've got, a bunch of different credit cards. I use this one for that, I use this one for that, I use this one for... And why would you carry all of them with you when you traveled? And you might think, it's better off to leave some at home, just, if I lose my wallet or I get mugged, who knows? So it's a bizarre credit card policy, and it nearly stranded Herb Weisbaum in London, which not a bad place to be stranded, but you plan on spending a week or two over there. You're not planning on spending the rest of your life there. By the way, I was just there a year ago. I love London, absolutely love London. I was visiting my friend, David Dominic Fowler, who is the guitar player, one of the guitar players in the Australian Pink Floyd band, and I saw them play at Royal Albert Hall, as well as another venue, a wonderful show. But when I went to leave the country, they let me go. And I don't remember having to show my credit card to get out of the country. I don't remember that. And I was flying Delta. So there you go. John, thanks for sending that. Delta Airlines' bizarre credit card policy nearly stranded me in London. The Consumer Man, Herb Weisbaum, wrote that story. Personal, first-hand experience. Questions, comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Somebody told me nothing rhymes with orange. No, it doesn't.